if he's that freaking smart, okay, he builds like a little tube that makes animals undergo accelerated evolution. Okay, gonna suspend the scientific method right there. But a raccoon comes along and says, "Oh, dude, you got the wrong pipe. This will make them nice. That'll work, idiots. Don't you know I can build planes from the bars that make my cage, you idiot?" He can do that, but he can't find a plastic surgeon to fix his face, so he just tapes a new one over it.
Yeah, that one threw me off.
What kind of Darth Vader BS is that?
Even now, a day later, over 24 hours after the film is over, I can't help but think about Teefs, Lila, and Floor, because just that scene pulled on my heartstrings so much. The way James Gunn, I'm the biggest James Gunn and Kevin Feige fanboy. It's not a secret on this channel. I always sing their praises. And once again, James Gunn has delivered us a phenomenal film. In my opinion, he's 4-0. You know, he gave us all three of the Guardian movies, Peacemaker, and the Suicide Squad. So for me, James Gunn's 5-0.
100%. And he produced Brightburn.
Wait,
which I enjoyed.
You're a fan of Suicide Squad?
The Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad.
A Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad that came out in 2020. Or 2021.
The first one and the second one.
The second one. It was like a soft reboot / sequel.
I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm a bit of a crier. Tease, Floor, and Lila. We're doing spoilers here, I would assume, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I cried 4 times in this movie, and that was one of them. Me and my daughter ugly crying in that. Like, I don't know if I like to tell myself that I was crying because she was crying, but I would have probably still cried regardless.
Oh yeah, I was in there, just me and my wife, and I was weeping about these CGI animals that were on the screen.
That's a tough angle to go at too, you know, hurting animals and stuff, like, because and they dropped an F-bomb in this, just to drop an F-bomb. It seemed like, anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they got it off. They pulled that off. Good for them. I like the whole animal aspect. That, like, as a kid, that might be traumatizing, and there's going to be a lot of parents taking their kids to this Marvel movie.
I did.
Maybe. Yeah, I would too. But I don't worry about that. They need to learn how life is, and you know that animals have robot arms and things like that, and robot teeth. So sometimes they die. So it works out.
To quote a local legend in the area that all three of us are from, and also we probably can't say that on the show, but if you know, you know. Because he was referencing robot arms and legs and things like that. There's other limbs that could be robot.
It was very touching how they did it. Only James Gunn can pull off that. Only him.
Oh yeah, 100%. Man, so, I'm so excited for the DCU now.
Oh, absolutely. So we're all on board that James Gunn is one of the best, if not the best, directors, writers in Hollywood right now.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%.
Okay, we're done here, guys. Let's give our rating and we can go home.
I don't know. I think you ripped off Toy Story too much in this movie. Like, all those animals are just the freaking Land of Lost toys under Sid's bed.
Yeah.
And Sid was in this movie.
Sid's kind of the creator.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sid, aka Adam Warlock.
Yeah. I basically kept seeing Toy Story the whole movie. It was hard to really see him as a superhero.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Adam Warlock story didn't do it for me. I'm a comics guy, and man, they neutered that character. There were two aspects that really didn't work for me. Well, 3 kind of. And I love the movie. I think it was far better than Guardians 2. I don't think it was better than Guardians 1. Guardians 1 will always have such a special place in my heart. I think Guardians 1 is like top 2 of all the Marvel movies for me. Adam Warlock just kind of felt like just kind of a thrown-in character, and Gamora as well. Like, you could tell James Gunn had no idea what to do with Gamora in that.
Yeah, great movie. I'll disagree with you about Gamora, but I will definitely agree with you on the Adam Warlock part. And somebody that I was listening to on YouTube yesterday put it the best way possible. They said that Adam Warlock service this film really well, but this film did not service Adam Warlock very well at all. Like, it made sense what they did with him and how they used him to further the story. And, you know, you had everything with Aisha in volume 2. But like you said, I was a fan of his acting and I was a fan of the way he looked, but I was not a fan of his whole arc in the film, if that makes sense.
He was kind of a MacGuffin. Like, anytime we needed him.
And like I was telling some of my buddies, I was like, I'm glad you brought Adam Warlock up, because like I don't want to trash on it just to be trashing on that aspect, but I was just like, well, this seemed kind of unnecessary. You know, in the trailers building up, we all thought, oh, it's going to be Adam Warlock versus Guardians, and he shows up at the beginning, like, bam, hit you. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, this guy, I mean, he sounds like another Drax almost. Like, don't we already have this role in the movie? I mean, just like the bewildered, baffled comic relief character that still has a heart of gold. But yeah, I mean, I love comics, and I was so excited to know Adam Warlock's going to be in it. But like, sometimes comic book movies take liberties with the characters more so than others, and I understand that you have to do that when you're making a film. But I was like, so you hype him up like he's going to be the Adam Warlock for the comics, and then you give him, or were they trying to subvert our expectations, or whatever that little new tricky Hollywood innuendo is? I don't know, but I agree with you. I thought a lot was left off the table with Adam Warlock. However, Will Poulter did a good job, and the costume was good.
He didn't give a crap that his mom died.
Yeah,
Good guy or a bad guy?
What kind of guy is that?
Who is this guy? Superheroes and bad guys. This isn't Suicide Squad. His mom died, and then he like adopts a puppy.
Yeah.
And then like, I'm good now. She was kind of a jerk.
And his mom didn't have any purpose in the film either, really. Like, other than to like point out his
existence
purpose.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
I like Elizabeth Debicki though. Yeah, she's a good golden gal.
well, but that's how
Absolutely.
the squirrel initially got hurt, right? They needed him just for that plot device, and then he was just sort of like tagging along the rest of the movie.
Instead of using a kid as a plot device in this recent Marvel film, they used an adult who has the intellectual capacity of a child.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, as a plot device.
Yeah.
Well,
At one point in time, I swear, and maybe they didn't say this word for word, but when him and his mom are in the spaceship when they go on Counter Earth or whatever, it was almost like they looked at the camera and was like, hey, we're in this movie too. Do you remember that?
I feel like they made a lot of those adjustments for the character of Adam Warlock based on the casting. Like him being a younger version of Adam and being not fully developed up here, you know?
Yeah.
That was definitely a little bit of a disappointment, you know, as far as that goes. But other than that, it was a phenomenal movie. Every character literally had their moment in the sun. Drax, even, you know, they even turned my feelings on Drax by the end of this film. Yeah, he's still a doofus, and yeah, he's still mostly a clown. But even he had his moment in the sun in this film. Even Cosmo. What did you guys think about Cosmo?
Second time I cried. I could, if Cosmo would have been in there, I think that would have got annoying after a little bit. For when she's in the film, she's fine. Drax made me cry the second time in the film. I cried out of 4. No big deal.
Cosmo, dog, right?
And
yeah,
with him, that would have gotten old after a little bit. But James Gunn knew just the right amount to put it. But Drax getting to be a father at the end of the film, I was like, that's the perfect angle for Drax. And the biggest compliment I can give to this movie is I feel like every plot point James Gunn set up in the first movie paid off. Like he was building towards it. It felt like nothing felt wasted except for Gamora a little bit.
Yeah, but that was kind of a decision that he wasn't involved in making in Avengers Endgame, to be fair.
Exactly.
But I think considering the circumstances, you know, that they kind of just killed her as something to show how much of a villain Thanos was in Endgame or Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fact that James Gunn was able to recover from that and kind of roll with the punches the way he did with Gamora, the Gamora character in this movie, I thought he did really good.
What are you talking about? They just ripped off Spider-Man. She dies, comes back, doesn't remember anything, and he has to win her all over again. He just ripped off the return of Spider-Man.
You're right, but they haven't made that Spider-Man movie yet. We just know that's going to be the next one. I see what you're getting. No, I
Cool
know. I get
trope.
where you're going with mustache.
But he stole it from Spider-Man. He stole
Yeah.
it from Toy Story and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So far, this guy rips off of good movies. I'm just saying. I did like the Sodom and Gomorrah storyline. They didn't like officially bring them back together, you know, but there was like it was just enough to give you that satisfying, like, yeah, he got her back.
Like you see Gamora's final scene in the movie, it's like, oh, there's Sylvester Stallone again. I thought they were going to shove him everywhere in this movie, and they didn't. And I'll give them kudos for that. Yeah, there's so many cameos in this movie. It's just like they just wanted to be in this.
They do this like the entire, you know, it goes black for a solid 10 seconds and just holds on Sylvester Stallone's name. And then he's in there like, all right, you guys, you got to go in there and get him. And then that was it. He was out doing a punching bag, getting ready for Rocky 5.
So that makes me curious. And I'm going to ask Jason about this. Do you think that we will see new iterations of the Guardians moving forward? Do you think we'll see the Sylvester Stallone and the red squid thing that was opening up portals and everything, whatever he was, and, you know, the talking head, the robot head? Are we going to see new iterations of the Guardians in the MCU moving forward?
I think they'll pop up. Obviously, Rocket and Star-Lord they're in it for the long haul. So I think those characters will pop up in other space movies. Like, I don't think we'll get any standalone Guardian movies.
You might or might not be right about that, but wasn't it wild that not one single character died in this movie? That was something that I wasn't expecting. Somebody that's been on this show in the past, his name is Dan. Him and I were talking, and we were making a bet like 2-3 weeks ago. I was saying I think it was going to be as many as 3 people that died in this film. You know, because the trailer was really like leading us to believe that with Rocket, and you know, we even saw the clip of Gamora. I mean, not Gamora, Nebula holding the Peter Quill mannequin. You know, as she was walking out.
Yeah,
nobody died.
Well, I mean,
not even his 90-year-old dad.
But I mean, I'm okay with that. Like,
wait, hold on. Didn't wait? You're talking about the superheroes or the villains?
Well, just the main superhero, like the Guardians.
Okay, yeah. I got you.
I was really expecting at least 2 to 3 to die in this film, and none of them died. That's the crazy part. You know, I was thinking like, okay, James Gunn's going to the DC universe now, and you know, Drax is definitely going to die because in the past, Bautista has, you know, had his differences with Disney Studios and been very vocal about it. You know, when they canned James Gunn, and also, you know, I didn't see Gamora sticking around. I didn't see Peter Quill sticking around. Yeah. And Rocket, I thought we was at least going to see 3 deaths, but we didn't. We didn't see not one.
You know, back to your point about a new group of Guardians, and like, here's my biggest beef. It's my biggest beef with quite a few of the past Marvel films. Is like, you remember when the end credit scenes actually meant something, and you hung around in the theater even though you wanted to get the heck out of there and get home. So like. What were these two? All the Marvel movies, like Hawkeye, Ant-Man, all of them. They're all in the show. They're all bringing in the kids, right? You know, we've already seen this, and so I was like, they're going to bring in the kids in this one too somehow. And then Drax becomes a father right at the end, and then we get the end credit scene. It's like Adam Warlock and then whoever else and all them. They're all of a sudden they're wearing the Guardian suit. So that is my fear, Jonathan. I'm not looking forward to the new Avengers. I haven't seen enough of the real Avengers, and I don't want any cardboard cutout hacks of the Guardians of the Galaxy either. So
yeah, I'm in the same boat.
I don't want a Guardians movie not directed by James Gunn.
Fair enough. I
think in Infinity War and Endgame, the Guardians stuff is the weakest stuff of those movies. Well, not maybe the weakest, but they're not the strongest. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, Gunn's already come out and said that he would not have handled Chris Pratt the way they did in Infinity War. For the Thanos scene specifically, him just like losing it all and everything. That's not how Gunn envisioned the character, and I think that's why he publicly said that.
Anybody know who directed Toy Story?
Yeah. Let me Google it.
I just think that's who should direct the next Guardians of the Galaxy. What's Sid's character's name?
Oh, you're talking about the guy that you think is very similar to Sid?
The Guardians guy. Warlock.
Sid.
I didn't know.
Oh, Adam Warlock.
A magnifying glass, and then just use his like heat arm to like do this to the animals because they
not
were
Adam Warlock. You're thinking High Evolutionary.
Under bed.
No, he thinks that Adam Warlock looks a lot like Sid from Toy Story.
No, that's not what I said. That is
Oh
Sid.
wow, he's right.
No, I'm saying that is Sid. They 3D printed Sid and put him in a movie. That biological planet. Okay, that's one thing I want to talk about. Okay, so this movie was good. I do agree on the whole. I had a couple issues. All right, we're just gonna start with the first one. Is what in tarnation were those oranges that were bouncing around and like supposed to protect they were the henchmen for the biological ship. Okay, they looked like the thumbs from Spy Kids. The big orange, like padded. I mean, it looked like they were going to show up in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie.
It was very weird and extravagant, but you know what? At the end of the day, I wouldn't expect anything less from James Gunn. I mean, I didn't have any problems with that. Look, one thing
is that what they look like in the comic books?
Even if they're not in the comics, they will be because the comics tend to follow the MCU now, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So,
very unfortunately.
I didn't mind those guys.
No, they were fine. Nathan Fillion was in it.
Who would be afraid? Like, what are you defending? I will say though, I did like the one we saw the most. Like, I like there's a blue guy and then just some freaking white guy, and he
That's Nathan Fillion.
Like, he's like, oh, you got one of those. I got one of those.
I laughed at that.
that was a solid joke that they kept bringing back. That's probably the high point of the movie for me. All this other stuff you're talking about. I like when he kept saying, I got an idiot.
Because we can all relate to that, right, Luke?
Oh my gosh, man. No idea.
So I really liked High Evolutionary as a villain, and that I can't say his name. I can't say it right, and I'm not going to.
The actor's name.
From Peacemaker, he was great in Peacemaker too. I thought he did a great job as a villain in a Marvel movie recently. Like, I was actually, not that he was anything special, but I was like, this villain's keeping my attention at least.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that character. I mean, he was ruthless, he was relentless, and the actor who played him did it very well.
But why? Why was he so ruthless? Okay, listen, we got insights into every single character in this movie except for him, the villain, the one who drives the show.
Sometimes people are just bad, Luke.
All right. We need to go back and review The Dark Knight. But listen, so
whoa.
Why did he want to make this like perfect master race? And the other thing is, if he's that freaking smart, okay, he builds like a little tube that makes animals undergo accelerated evolution. Okay, gonna suspend the scientific method right there. But a raccoon comes along and says, "Oh, dude, you got the wrong pipe. This will make them nice. That'll work, idiot. Don't you know I can build planes from the bars that make my cage, you idiot?" He can do that, but he can't find a plastic surgeon to fix his face, so he just tapes a new one over it.
Yeah, that one threw me off.
What kind of Darth Vader BS is that?
Yeah, when Rocket's slashing him and stuff in that flashback, I was like, oh, he's going to have a couple scars like the Shredder.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, at the end, it's like, bro, half his face is gone. Rocket was a mean raccoon.
I think the reason he taped on a new face, he face-offed it like John Travolta and Nick Cage, is I think he was offended that Rocket landed a punch on him. And I don't think his brain could handle it. I think that is his motivation, is he thought himself perfect. So therefore, when something outdid him, it drove him insane.
Well, another interesting
Jason,
question.
where do you get that element? We don't know who this guy is.
I'm telling you, just from context clues.
Another interesting question now that we're talking about this. So remember later in the film, he had those powers that he was basically a telepath.
Yeah.
So he could like put his hands up and push somebody away.
Well,
so why didn't he just use that against Rocket? Did he have those powers?
He didn't have that because he said after Rocket beat him that it drove him insane.
Okay,
See, he doesn't go crazy until Rocket was like, "Hey, change this pipe." That's his turning point. That's when he's like, this little
not turning a walrus's legs into a wheelchair. No, that's not the part.
Well, no,
scratched by a rabid raccoon.
Well,
Yeah,
we
hold
all
on.
know, Luke, that the wrong type of pipe can lead to a lot of problems.
Well,
Like if his animals were so smart, why did he have to have mechanical arms and legs and stuff to the
Because
first
it
three?
looked
Yeah.
cool.
What's that?
did it though?
I thought the walrus looked cool. Me and my little girl thought the walrus looked awesome.
All right.
I felt so bad for that rabbit and its metal teeth. I felt so bad for that rabbit. I
Oh,
was just
Yeah, what was it? The rabbits biting people? I mean, it's the nicest rabbit I ever met. Why did it need a muzzle?
And the rabbit goes down.
My,
The rabbit goes down like a wuss, and it looked completely vicious. It looks like something out of the movie The Thing. Like it, and that's the first one that gets smoked. Are you kidding me?
Rest in peace, Teef and Lila.
I think Floor is my favorite design. Yeah, I think Floor and Teeth was my favorite.
Again, stolen
I'd
from
say
Spider-Man.
you could
Dr. Octopus. Just
say
Anticipation.
you could argue that. I would say that he didn't respect animals, obviously, because
Oh, wait a second.
What?
how do you know,
But-
Jason?
Well,
Like-
wait, hold on. He didn't respect people either. He viewed people
Like
and animals the same way.
Yeah.
Until Rocket's like, hey, this is where you're jacking up. This is why these animals are getting incinerated. I think him getting put in his place one time is what made him start crawling on the floor and stuff and being like, you. That's just what I felt.
Yeah.
I mean, just from seeing that. Because it didn't start until Rocket put him in his place in front of all of his people or whatever.
What
I
didn't
think he just
start?
couldn't handle that Rocket beat him. He wasn't like crawling on the floor and stuff and like trying to shoot animals.
I don't remember him crawling on the floor that much, but I do remember him shooting a lot of animals. Okay.
He set the one on fire. He did that. But
Wait,
there
he
was
set
no
an-
malice in it.
There's more than one, Jason. He shot several animals and
Yeah.
set several animals on fire.
Yeah, he was a shooter.
Like, I think this one was baked in the cake.
No, I just think he
know where the
really
cake
went nuts. Like he started becoming when Rocket, he couldn't handle that Rocket beat him.
And who could?
That much-
Because think about all the Marvel villains that we've had. And this one, I mean, like I said, he was one of my, I thought he did a good job and everything. But this one, to get beat, everybody in Marvel coming out in MCU, you get beat by the raccoon. No wonder he's so
Rocket's
upset with
smart.
himself. He
Yeah,
got smoked
Rocket's
by a
smart.
trash panda.
And just like Chris Farley talked about, he got his face ripped off by a
Yeah.
raccoon. He said,
Yeah.
they have claws that can rip your face right off. Just right off.
I seen a badger with paws as big as frying pans. Now that'd rip your face right off. Right off. There's nothing you can do with that.
How about that monkey attacking that one random kind lady that was
What the
trying to
heck
catch
was
all
that?
that? That was weird. Okay, so at the end, when
The
Cosmo is holding the ships together, a monkey comes flying off of screen and lands
yeah,
on a lady's
scratches her
face, and
face
she's just
up.
like, ah!
And then the rest of them are like, just the bird that you raised as a young, like, oh, thank you so much. And it's like,
Did you notice?
nowhere.
Luke is flabbergasted.
You can't
Welcome
just
to
have,
Thunderdome.
you can't have a baboon just face rape somebody and then just move to the next scene.
It
Like
just
nothing
stayed
happened.
on it.
You can't just, well, anyway, and then happily ever after. Like immediately go back to Cosmo,
Yeah.
who
It's a good thing Rocket didn't become the father. Thanks, Drax.
It was out of left field. I'll give you that.
It was an odd scene.
Very odd because you had all this happiness going on. Animals coming over. Hey, we're saving the animals.
Noah's Ark, man.
Yeah. And then one scene, a monkey attacks someone for no apparent
Oh,
reason.
start with. We didn't give
Hey,
him
well,
the rabies vaccine yet.
That's monkeys for you, Jason. Have you ever seen Planet of the
Never
Apes?
trust him.
Who
That's how
and you know what?
COVID got spread.
Who
Oh,
gave those smart robotic animals stuff to draw on and things? He's not very smart, that High Evolutionary. No wonder Rocket figured out the pipe.
oh, geez.
So let's.
He's like, oh my gosh! It's like, okay, hold on. To your point, it takes him to realize that he's worthless when Rocket figures out the pipe.
Yeah.
I mean, you
It's
got
not
animals
creation.
talking to you, bro. The first one was talking to you, and you put robot wheels on it and stuff. Like, come on.
This one can't do math.
Think
No,
about
we are picking this movie that is probably
Real.
the best MCU film we've had in years, and we're picking
Yeah.
it apart like it's awful, all because of Luke. I blame Luke.
Look, man. Look,
hold
yeah,
on,
it got
Jonathan.
88%. Everybody loved it, whatever. But it wasn't perfect, okay?
No,
I'm
it wasn't
getting where
perfect.
that 12% got lost, okay? And part of it was casting Sid as Warlock, who didn't very much have any magic powers. I don't understand that. And then, two, listen, I know you guys liked this animal bit. You obviously both cried, and, I mourned
Loved
the
it.
loss of, it's 2023. Like, you can be whoever you want. But I'm just saying, okay? It was a little bit cheese, okay? It's a little bit cheesy to see the otter like crying.
I can't get behind that
Raccoon.
whatsoever.
What?
Crying.
No.
But
That's not how otters cry in the real world.
He put some robot tear ducts in there.
He like took out the natural lacrimal gland. No, this won't work. I need this one.
After he fixed that pipe, a lot of those issues.
He's like,
We're calling it a pipe, and Rocket figured out how to fix a machine that accelerates evolution.
Okay. So to get off of this tangent.
Hey, Duke Kaboom was in this too. That's Adam Warlock, basically. Yeah, just a guy shows up, flies through the air. Yeah, not very smart.
Okay, so
Wait, have you seen Toy Story 4?
No.
yeah.
How can you debate Toy Story? You haven't even seen them all.
No, I haven't seen all four.
I missed the
Okay.
fourth.
listen,
I
I watched 3, and 3 is the ending. I don't need to go any further.
Yeah.
3 is a perfect ending.
You only say that because you haven't seen 4.
No, 3 is such a good ending.
4 is okay because Keanu's in it. Helps it out a little bit. Otherwise, it's the same old Tom Hanks. We're talking about Marvel.
One more nitpick. One more.
Well, I'm
One
not
more.
done.
I can't
We
wait.
didn't have enough.
One more. So when Star-Lord is floating in space and is, he's expanding and whatever, how many did you think Gamora was going to be the one to save him? I thought it was going to be a callback to the first movie. And
I thought he was dead.
Yeah, man, it's outer space. Come on, he's all bloated and stuff and frozen.
No, I knew they weren't
He's
getting
dead.
rid of Chris Pratt.
The bloated part was the part that had me thinking like, oh yeah, he gone. He's
No,
done.
there's no way they're gonna let a hero go off bloated. It's just not gonna happen.
I thought we were going to lose him. Didn't he get canceled?
No, not yet.
Probably. I
He's
think
a
they went
Christian,
after
though,
him.
so he probably will
Yeah.
soon.
Elliot Page went after him.
Good luck with that, Karen.
Why didn't the dog save him?
Wait,
The
that
dog was tired, Luke.
The telekinetic dog.
He passed
Yeah.
out. She passed out.
Cosmo?
She had been through a lot. She probably needed to go into one of those chambers with the new pipe.
Okay, Jonathan. The dog already is telepathic. What's
The dog
step?
had been through a lot though. The only reason the dog made it as far as she did
Mantis.
was because Mantis gave her a little bit extra strength.
He said, "You're stronger than you know." She gave him
maybe
a
Mantis could have. That's what I was thinking in my brain. Like maybe Mantis could have came back and said, "Hey, you got this for another 3 or 4 minutes at least." Just gave it to her.
And I'm surprised that it didn't end right there and the dog failed. Because
For all we know, that monkey.
Hold on, Mantis doesn't enhance powers. She just gives moral encouragement.
For all we know, that monkey could have jumped on that that dog.
Forget Cosmo stopping.
hole,
Forget Cosmo stopping the ship with her mind. Have Cosmo attack that monkey.
Yeah,
Boom,
that's true.
bam.
I hope that monkey doesn't live in nowhere anymore, man. They got to get rid of that.
they
thing.
should-
That's a
yeah.
menace to society.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the first live execution they're gonna have in nowhere whenever everything.
I can't wait for the next Marvel holiday special.
Oh,
It'll start
Man,
off with that monkey hanging,
Yeah.
and you'll see his monkey feet dangling, and bells will be ringing.
I want all the track suits from the end of Hawkeye in it too, next to that monkey.
yeah.
But like,
I'm down with that.
But what if that monkey was a time traveling monkey
Oh, here we go.
and got in to that machine that turns that rapidly evolves them?
The bad bite.
And it ended up being the villain.
The High Evolutionary.
He started out the gate. Being full of hate. That would make sense.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That would be a twist, dude.
Good Lord. Okay. I thought the soundtrack was good. You know, there was a couple things that people had complaints about. Like, for one, everyone was saying that everyone was yelling. You know, the villain was yelling so much and they were yelling at each other. I didn't care about that. That wasn't a problem for me. Like,
No,
that's part of being the Guardians. Like, they yell at each other. They're not like besties, and they're not like shining examples of who Marvel characters should be. They started off as villains. They're basically pirates. So I didn't have a problem with
Ripped off a Suicide Squad.
What?
Ripped off a Suicide Squad.
Guardians did it first, I believe. But
And also the soundtrack. Some people had complaints about the soundtrack, but I thought it was great. You know,
I thought it was the best of the three.
I wouldn't go that far, but it was really good.
And is there a more perfect way to end the Guardian series than Florence and the Machine? I don't think so.
I felt like there was a lot of music.
Well, that's in every
Like
Guardians
it was almost
movie.
like this is a Guardians movie, so it's pretty much just like 3 albums. We're just gonna play the entire album. You're gonna hear a song. We're actually just talking over music the entire movie.
But they did that in every Guardians movie, even the Christmas special.
Oh, well, I guess that was a problem then too. But it was good. It was at least good music. But I was just kind of like, this is honestly becoming like part of this. Like I guess this is the trademark of the series. Is that there's always an 80s song playing.
Yeah.
Or
It was good music, but it could have been better if they would have really went to the good stuff from the 2000s. Creed.
Well,
not a Creed song.
Never agreed with you more.
How stoked would you have been in the hallway scene if it was higher?
Oh man. Let me tell you something.
They should have had
probably at that point I would have bought 18 tickets, extra tickets, just to support the film even further. And then I probably would have, I don't know, sent James Gunn like 10 grand in the mail or something, or via PayPal. Give me your Cash App.
I never really tried to like put into scope because like the soundtrack in any of the Guardians movies, because Gunn, that's his formula. He's going to go find some good songs from their era and tie it in with the scene, and I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with the fact that other Marvel properties have tried to mimic what he does and do it terribly.
That squad.
The final hallway scene, that was a good fight scene in a movie.
Fantastic.
Let the bodies hit the floor. That's what I want. Yeah, man. I don't even like that song.
I'm glad you brought up that final fight scene, because that single scene elevated the movie in my brain a couple notches, like several
100%.
notches. Because if they not had that scene, this movie would have been a lot lower for me, significantly lower. That I am a sucker for well choreographed fight scenes. And
in a hallway.
Anywhere. I don't care where it's at. I don't care if it's in the bathroom. But let me tell you something. This harkened me back to the airport scene from Civil War, Endgame. I mean, a lot of these iconic fight scenes, this goes right up there with it.
I agree. And I think the soundtrack that helps with that. No Sleep Till Brooklyn is the perfect song for that.
Yeah.
Like the sound cue with him opening up the door and the camera panning around so you can see everyone looking at him. It's a beautiful moment. James Gunn at his highest level as a filmmaker, I think.
So we did kind of touch on Gamora a bit. What did you guys, I mean, I personally thought that this Gamora felt like a completely different character. It very much felt like a Gamora that never did, link up with the Guardians, that never did fall in love with Peter. She did a really good job conveying that on screen.
I thought this definitely was an alternate Sodom and Gomorrah. What I just didn't know that I could believe that she was that dumb as to literally just give the coordinates of the ship to her. Like literally just like, I don't recognize your voice, but you need to tell somebody that I know where we are, because I don't know you. I don't know why you're on my ship, but go ahead and just find me because I hate these people. That part was a little bit unbelievable, but I did. And again, although they did steal this from Spider-Man, I did find it, I did want to watch Star-Lord re-win her over. I thought that was nice. I honestly did think that he was going to fall in love with her robot blue sister, but they didn't do that. And I was thinking, wow, they're really trying to spice things up here, because the blackness of your eyes. I mean, where's that angle coming from? He's a human. He's not robot.
He is a human, but he also is a human that's been in space his whole entire life.
And his
preferences are probably a bit different than ours.
Well, you remember in the first movie they had the joke about
Oscar Varian. Yeah, he slept with Oscar Varian.
Yeah, he had sex with a lady that had tentacles everywhere.
Those tentacles, they'll get you, Jim.
To a different genre.
Gamora could have just remained dead, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, well, we got to add Gamora back in. She's going to hate being here the whole time. And then we're going to have this little Star-Lord still missing her angle, which is another subplot that doesn't really affect the overall story to a degree. Like, finally at the end, she's like, okay, I care about Peter a little bit, or these guys, I'm going to help them out, after she's worthless the rest of the movie. I'm glad to see Gamora again. She's done. She's probably happy. Yeah.
I have another weird James Gunn thing that he did on par with the monkey, in my opinion. Why was there a random shot of Gamora using the bathroom?
Yeah, what the heck, dude?
Oh, wow, I forgot about that.
Where did that
Yeah.
I was just like, well, that was in this movie.
Definitely an interesting choice. Definitely an interesting choice.
They got away with that one and the F-bomb. Woo!
Yeah, that's on par with the monkey scene. Like, I just was like, why is this happening?
Not quite on par with the monkey scene for me, but I get what you're saying there.
The ship was really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Bowie, man. That's what it's called. It's called
The Bowie.
It was cool that they named it after David Bowie, considering they wanted him to cameo in the second film. He couldn't do it, but then he passed after that film came out.
I mean, what a jerk, freaking dying before they deliver. Dude,
Yeah.
It was really cool how they could compartment. They had separate ships within the ship. It was very meta. Definitely a fan.
Nice feng shui.
Yeah. I like the spinning part too. Like when it did the jumps, it did it would spin, like the top of it would. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
I realized this at the very end of the movie, but nowhere is actually just a large skull-shaped ship.
Yeah, that was explained fully in the first Guardians movie.
Whatever.
And the Christmas special.
That again, we could just rehash that was pretty cool, and the cannon that they used to take out the turd mobile or the biologic ship that they were fighting. I thought it was that actually was kind of cool. Like, I like that they even put hair follicles on it. I was like, you're really going there. Are we going to see like a sphincter somewhere? Like, this is, and then like literal eyeballs for the cameras. I mean, that was pretty creative. And then they put Cheetos Puffs to defend it.
Mantis going away at the end. How do y'all feel about that?
That was the only part that I didn't really love. As far as I felt like she would have stuck around with Drax personally.
Yeah, I thought her and Drax kind of had like a will they, won't they? But
she'd been listening to that Miley Cyrus song too much. I love myself better than anybody. She didn't.
Yeah. So I really don't care if she stuck around or left. I didn't really think about it too much. So she's gone. She'll be back. What else? What else is she gonna do?
She's an interesting plot device that they choose when to use and when not. When she really could probably play
And remember, ever since the Christmas special, now she can fight.
Yeah, she is vicious. She's almost as vicious as that monkey that came out.
There it is.
Almost. So, if you had to give this film a rating, what would you guys rate it on a scale from 0 to 10? 0 being awful, unwatchable, 10 being perfect in every way. Where would you rate it? We'll start with you, Mr. Jason Galt.
I'm going to go an 8. I had a fun time at the movie theater. Watching it with my daughter was watching her kind of dig the stuff I like. I give it an 8, maybe an 8.5.
Obviously a biased score. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. I loved it. It's my second favorite Guardians movie. So
I just thought this was a professional show. I didn't know we were going to let our that's fine. Go ahead. Yeah, my wife cried at the otter dying. Do you think that's going to influence how I rate this movie?
Mr. Professional, why don't you give us your rating?
I'm going to give this movie a solid 6.5. I did like this movie. I very much enjoyed it. I don't know. I don't have like a really solid justification for why it's not higher. It was a good movie. It doesn't stand out to me like it did you guys. I found like the heartstrings being pulled with the animals. It didn't land on me. I felt a little bit, yeah, but it wasn't. You know, I feel like that was one of the major. You know, we finally get the backstory for the squirrel and why he was the way he was. I mean, I get it, but it fell flat for me. The fight scenes were cool. The music was cool. I liked, you know, a lot of the innovative, not the creatures, but like the ships and the things like that they made for this. So it was entertaining. It just wasn't gripping like a Return of Spider-Man, which was sad because they did just copy paste that movie to this. So outside of that, that's what I mean.
Mr. Darren, what you got?
Oh wow! So I actually scored this on the M6P video we did 2 days ago after I saw it. So I have to stick with that score. I gave it an 8 as well. By no means is it perfect, but I think it was a good Marvel film, especially compared to most of them recently. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. You know, I went into this. I was so scared. I'm like, oh, Disney's going to do something with it, you know, to mess it up or whatever. Yeah, compared to most, I enjoyed it. The villain helped sell it, the whole angle with the animals, even though they were pulling on the heartstrings, which they totally got me. And that stuff. Yeah, no, I thought it was an overall good experience. I enjoyed watching it. Like, as much as I like to think really deep into like if a movie's good or not, ultimately comes down, did I enjoy it or not? Does it stink or does it not stink? And this did not stink. So I gave it an 8.
I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I also think that it's one of the better MCU films that we've gotten in a very, very rough drought that we've had as of late since the pandemic hit. This is kind of where I have it ranked on my list because those of you who don't know, I keep a list in my phone. It's part of the reason why I started this channel is because my wife basically thought I was such a huge loser and mega nerd. I should start my own YouTube channel. And I was like, okay. I keep a list of everything ranked in my phone. And currently where I have it, it's sitting firmly at number 8. And that number 10. That number 8 spot puts it above Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, which is number 9 for me, and Guardians of the Galaxy 1, which is number 10 for me personally. So I have it ranked as a 9.
Wow. Luke is shocked by that.
Better than the first one?
Yep. Because at the end of the day, the way they concluded everything and wrapped the story, sure, I had some problems here and there, but the problems that I had were minor problems. I didn't have as much a problem with the pipe as you did. You know, as far as the monkey thing, I thought that was kind of random, but at the end of the day, it's a wild animal. So what do you expect? Just like these idiots that stick their fingers in tiger cages, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, tiger, what's going on? What did you expect? It's a wild animal.
Jonathan, you were underpinning the entire point. The monkey wasn't in a cage. It was being freed from a cage.
Okay, but that doesn't
different.
change his natural instincts, Luke, which is to be a wild animal and to rip your face off.
What are you talking about? He probably had a robot spine and a bladder made of diamonds. I mean, what are you talking about, dude?
You ever seen the show that used to come on Animal Planet, Fatal Attractions? Plural.
Oh, yeah.
But monkeys will screw your world up. They will rip your face off. They'll rip your nuts off, and then they'll rip your hands off. Okay, so the fact
in that order,
their face up a little bit didn't surprise me one bit.
Jonathan,
yeah, they don't make good service animals, not at all. Despite what the media tells you.
You're referring to chimpanzees, Jonathan.
That's okay. That's a chimpanzee, so they're in the part of the, you know, they're in the same family, sort of, kind of. Hey, that's spider monkey. Why do you think they talked about spider monkeys in Talladega Nights? I'll jump on you like a spider monkey. They said that for a reason.
Look, for clarity, okay, while I did find it an interesting part of the movie, it did not affect my overall rating, okay? Look, hiccups happen, okay? It still is a good movie. We didn't lose half a point for the monkey debacle, okay? It just, overall, it just didn't have that stick, okay? It didn't have that, you know, and I think it's because they were really banking on the animal loving thing happening. For me, it just missed. And I love my dogs.
So in other words, you hate animals. Okay. Well, guys, until next time.